No point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Rational thoughts are going to abound on the show today. We've got Craig Henzel today. My gosh. If you want to hear interesting stories, stick around, folks. This guy's been a 25-year career as U.S. Coast Guard officer, where he served with multiple ships at the Pentagon following September 11th, and offshore cleaning up the Gulf of Mexico during the Deepwater Horizon oil spill disaster. Since then, he's worked across the globe as a business leader, corporate executive, successfully leading large-scale businesses. We're talking like huge programs for global organizations that drive profitability, enhance cash flow, and increase agility. And Craig, I want to hear some numbers on that because it's pretty impressive. He credits his Coast Guard career with giving him the self-awareness and capacity to develop leaders to assume bigger roles and drive change in their respective organizations. Now, he's on a mission to end veteran homelessness, and the book that he's producing is dedicated to helping veterans find their footing and a role in a bigger world that needs their dedication and leadership. So without further ado, Mr. Craig Henzel, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Doug. Thanks a lot for having me here.
Good. Well, thanks for being here. Why should people stick around and listen to us today? What kind of juicy tidbits and wisdom are you going to bestow upon us?
You just said, when I listened to the intro, I thought, man, this guy's pretty old. But what I was thinking of actually was there's probably a couple of nuggets from the last, we'll call it 25 years that I can share with folks that'll either make them smile or maybe bring a couple of insights that could help them learn a thing or two, because I've walked this minefield ahead of a lot of folks, and I'd love to be able to reach back and kind of help them out.
Great. Good one. So the nuggets are going to, number one, there's going to be some really cool stories, right? Is that me or you? I got to check the audio here. The stories he's going to share, folks, are amazing. We're talking like you all heard about the Deepwater Horizon oil disaster, where people lost their lives. It was a big cleanup. Craig was in charge of the organizational logistics for that whole operation. I'll talk about that. I'll see if I can talk about any drug interdictions he did at the Coast Guard. And most importantly, some of these amazing things he did in business to save and create, I'm talking multiple millions of dollars for companies with some, just, it might appear the way he describes it, minor shifts in thinking and execution, but it can result in huge profits for companies. So that's at the end of the show. Stick around for that. First of all, Coast Guard, I got to tell you, a lot of people don't understand it. Like, there's like Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Oh, yeah, we got these guys in the boats to go around the lakes and the stuff like that.
That's right.
So now I know differently. I know you guys, like we said before, like those guys, every other guy in the military is like sitting around waiting for action, that most of their life is training. They don't do anything. You guys are on 24/7, actually, on call. I mean, there's things happening all the time, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, I never knew that until I got into the Coast Guard. But yeah, it's a mission that never ends. And whether it's a boating safety or it's search and rescue or it's drug law enforcement, it's marine environmental protection, it's oil spill cleanup, those kinds of things, they don't happen in a large conflict. They happen all the time. They happen everywhere. And so, yeah, it's amazing. It's something that you get a chance to do quite a bit of things and respond to many events, and you do it at a very kind of low level in your career, whether you're enlisted or you're an officer. Coast Guard does a phenomenal job, I think, in terms of pushing down decisions to the lowest level. Here's a great example, a quick one. If there's some kind of a call it a drug interdiction or a search and rescue case that happens, just off the coast, and you've got a small boat station that responds to it. That's generally a petty officer with a few other folks on the team that go and kind of prosecute that case, whatever it is. They have the authority and the jurisdiction to do it. But then if there's some kind of public media event that happens as a result of it, it's not the small boat station officer in charge or the CO that comes and talks to the local news or the national news. It's the person who was on kind of the pointy end of the spear. it's a junior person, but that person's confident, they've been trained, and they do a phenomenal job. So, it's interesting. You see the Coast Guard on the news, it's not a public affairs officer who's talking to them. It's the person who's actually doing the work. Pretty awesome.
And you also talk about story. I'd love to hear that story again about when you had a news crew that wanted to come out to Deepwater Horizon when you were, well, first start beginning about Deepwater Horizon, how you got the call. Then we'll talk about the joke, and you can name names, and I don't have a problem with that, but
Okay. Well, so, like many Coast Guard active duty and reservists, I was in the reserves at the time. I was working at Merck as a senior finance executive there. Mm-hmm. And I got the call early in the morning. I just came back from a run, and the call was from a senior person fairly high up in the chain of command. And they said, Commander Henzel, we need you downrange. And so I went down to, kind of the bottom of Louisiana, stopped in at the operations center in New Orleans, but then went straight down through and took the crew boat offshore, and was the senior Coast Guard officer offshore, working with a tremendous crew of civilian folks who were absolutely tremendous in terms of their knowledge. They've been doing this stuff for decades. And, the Coast Guard really relies on folks like that. In this case, so did BP, British Petroleum. This is the largest oil spill in the history of the world. And so I went down and was working with, a number of folks on what we call kind of skimming fleet number 3, and then went onto the command and control ship and worked kind of the entire problem. There was 127 ships, and we were repositioning satellites, looking at overflights, working with the shrimpers who had kind of lost their livelihood for the moment as oil was spilling all over the Gulf. Sometimes it would drop underwater for 6 feet underwater for a few hours, so a satellite pass wouldn't pick it up. Then all of a sudden it would pop back up again, and it took us a better part of 4 or 5 months to clean it up. And I was privileged to be a part of it and learning from a lot of the civilian professionals. I put their names into the book, but specifically, there was a request from one of the news crews at CNN to come out and interview the team. And
let's just say, we have to say a name, but it was a very famous one that everybody knows.
That's right. Somebody with what we call maybe platinum blonde hair, or whitish hair, but person wanted to come out and interview the crew. And I said, along with my civilian counterpart there, let's make sure this person comes out on the crew boat. All of the ship captains, all the crew, all the groceries, all the mail that the ship service and that these oil rigs service out in the Gulf, they get delivered to with these crew boats. And the crew boat folks do a phenomenal job getting stuff back and forth. But long story short, person didn't want to come out on the crew boat, wanted to helicopter out, asked to be picked up in a small boat. And the answer was, no, you'll come on the crew boat just like everybody else. 60 miles offshore, probably going to get sick. But, if you don't come on the crew boat, no one's going to respect you. No one's going to want to talk to you. So you're going to need to come out on the crew boat. And ended up talking to the producer there, talked to person himself, and cleared it with the commandant of the Coast Guard who was running the operation out of New Orleans, that it was my call, our call, kind of out on scene. And so the person never came out. They were too busy. And that's all right. But I said, clearly, if you don't come out on the crew boat, if you don't take the same route that everyone else did, no one's going to talk to you. No one on the 127 ship fleet that's out here bringing in the oil, and no one on this command and control ship, because they're not going to have time for you.
And so, I think that's very, very poignant, because, your book is about leadership from the front lines, right? That's the title of the book. And, there's a lot of history about leading from the front lines and whatnot, and, the top people behind the lines. But in the Coast Guard, in your situation, and of course at work too, you don't see that. The front lines is where the leadership really starts with. Is that right?
It's 100% right. the chapter 1 in the book, it's about leading from the front, right? It's leadership from the front lines, not leadership from the rear lines. It's leading from the front. So you're going to need to get out front. It's where you've got the best unobstructed view of what's ahead of you. So you can't lead from the rear and do an effective job. But what leading from the front means is you're not doing the work for your people. You're rolling up your sleeves. You're putting in as much effort, probably more, but you're strategically kind of using the kind of telescope. Where are we going? Are we still on target and tracking against kind of, mission completion goals and objectives? And then down into the microscope, where are we kind of near term, today, this afternoon, this week, this month, in order to make sure that, the deliverables, the milestones are met. Doesn't matter what the project is, big, small, large programs, small programs, the same principles hold true. You have to lead from the front. If you're not leading from the front, you've got no idea what's going on.
Well, yeah, but if your initials are AC and you're going just reporting on an event like this, you're not leading, you're reporting, right? I mean, couldn't you come out there and just like interview people and be done and get back?
You know what? I think you could, but what you don't get is the respect. You're not going to garner the respect from the folks, and they're not going to give you an unobstructed view of the situation. You're not going to have the situational awareness that you would from the team if you're what I would call kind of phoning it in.
So
right?
you were actually trying to help them do a more authentic job as a journalist.
Yes, my suggestion was you get there the same way everyone else did. You pay the same dues that everyone else did. If you're sorry if your schedule doesn't permit it, but neither does ours out here. We're not going to have time to lower a small boat and come get you. You're going to need to come out on the crew boat. We can make time for the crew boat because it's bringing groceries and mail and sometimes crew change outs. We've got time for that. We don't have time for a helo trip and a small boat pickup.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is.
I just found it, funny. I've got 2 or 3 stories like that from national journalists that I've had run-ins with. I'm like, okay, I get it, Anyway, moving quite right along. I want to also share with the audience today. You've dedicated. I'll just be really transparent here. When we started working together on your book, you made a statement about you wanted to end veteran homelessness.
Yes.
And you didn't say I want to end it in my community or my city or my state. You said I want to end veteran homelessness. And my initial reaction was, let's go. I'm in for our lives, right? Whatever it takes, whether it's our generation, the next generation. I think that is an amazing goal. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. We like those.
Yes.
But everybody has a tipping point or a moment where these things galvanize in their head and their heart and get going. Can you tell us how that became? I mean, obviously you're a veteran, but you didn't become interested in veteran homelessness until your day in Chicago, I think. You wanted to describe what happened there?
That's right. So I'm in the reserves. Mm-hmm. I think I'm a commander at that time in 2005. I'm on the list for 2006, captain. And this was a few years back, probably 4 or 5 years back. And I'm doing the consulting work that I'm doing now for the CFO transformation team here at the company I'm working with called Genpact, great company. And I'm out in Chicago working with a team. It's a brand new team every time. I've probably done 40 to 45 of these things over the last 5 years since my business was acquired by this company called Genpact. By the way, they're a former division of General Electric, great company. But I'm out there working for a very well-known consumer goods company. I won't say the name, but everyone knows them. You've got stuff in your pantry that's from them, and or in your fridge. And so I'm out there doing a piece of work, and I get up in the morning, get the workout in, grab some chow, meet up with the team 6:30 or so, and then I'd walk in from the hotel I was staying at in downtown Chicago, be about 1.5 miles. Now we're talking about during the months of November, December, January, February, right? The coldest months in Chicago, and the wind. It's like -60. You go down the wrong street. I mean, it's incredible. People that live there, they know. People that have visited there, you're absolutely You don't bundle up for Chicago. Bundling up doesn't work unless you're native there.
I was driving. I was helping a friend out with some frozen pipes in their house, not outside. It was in their house. The pipes are frozen inside. Right? It was like, oh, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, and you know what? That's like a regular occurrence there. So it's funny. As I was there, this is an aside, but as you know, the temperature would drop down to maybe, I don't know, like 10 or 5. But as long as it was sunny out, people in Chicago, they show up in shorts, flip-flops. It was an awesome thing. Anyway, it's like 6:45 in the morning. I'm walking into the office. It's about a 1.5 mile walk to kind of wake up. And I'm noticing there are people that are lying outside, homeless folks. And I'm moving as quickly as I can because I'm frozen. But as the days go on, I'm noticing these people, and I'm thinking, how can these people stay outside? And so then, a week or so goes by, and some of the people are actually up and awake. And so I said, hey, how's it going? And then I noticed a couple times that they're laying on a cardboard sign that says homeless veteran, like we'll work for food, stuff like that. And so I stopped and said, hey, how you doing? There's a fast food restaurant, McDonald's, right up on the corner here. Can I get you a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something like that? Breakfast sandwich. And, in the beginning, kind of people looking out of the corner of their eye at you, like, what's your game here? What's the angle? And I said, man, I got to keep moving. I'm frozen. So I'll catch up with you later. And so I continue to see some of these folks because I'm taking the same route in. And finally, I just said, hey, listen, you weren't hungry like 2 days ago. Are you hungry now? I'm a veteran, by the way. It looks like you're a veteran if the sign's accurate. I'd love to hear what's going on. I'm going to stop. I'll get, like a breakfast sandwich or something. And so we go, and I start to hear these stories about guys who are driving, convoys in the green zone and stuff all around Baghdad and other things. And, they've come back and they've kind of hit some hard times, and homeless shelters are full. And, here they are out here on the street. And so I put a call into the mayor's office, talked to a couple of people on the staff there, don't actually get him. But I said, what's going on out here? I'm from the Philadelphia area. I'm taking these guys to breakfast. There's 3, 4, 5 of them now that we're all going to breakfast together almost every morning. And I'm saying, you probably want to get out of your office, take your whatever big SUV that you probably got, drive down here, maybe meet us for breakfast. We never get anyone to meet us for breakfast. But, I thought then this is something that we got 50,000 or 60,000 veterans that are out homeless every single night, sometimes with families. We're doing some great things right now with folks, interpreters that we've used in Afghanistan and stuff, and spending a lot of money on them, and I think it's the right thing to do. But it'd be nice if we diverted some of that cash, taking care of the people that have been bleeding red, white, and blue for this country for decades, and are now having a little tough time, probably exacerbated by the pandemic. So that's what kind of caused me to think, this is something that we need to solve. We need to solve the root cause and never have to deal with it again. So folks that are moving out of the services, that are detaching, being released from active duty, we've got a home for them. We've got roles for them. And we've got to show a little pride here. And I thought this is the time to do it. And while the commute was cut on either side of the pandemic here, as we've been working from home mostly, certainly not at the customer sites, that's what led me to pull the book together. Doug, with your help, sincerely appreciate it. And we'll see what we can get done here, because I think it's solvable. I think it's solvable in 5 years once we've got a dedicated crew and a mastermind team to get it done.
Yeah, as long as we keep the government out of it, we could probably pull it off.
We would probably do it in 4 years then.
I don't mean keep them out of it. I mean, we lead and they can follow, as opposed to the other way around.
Totally understand. Yeah, the VA, there's a bunch of groups that are doing some good work. Yeah. We need to leverage them.
Right. And there's we just want to, well, you and I both know, I mean, there's the bureaucracies are there for a reason, but sometimes they get a little bit bloated or a lot bloated, and they forget why they're there. So with this mission, the mission is to end veteran homelessness. You've got some great concepts to pull it off with reusing the containers and, like you said, the transition period and retraining and focusing on the individual. And yeah, if we can get support from other entities, whatever those are, it'll be awesome. So we're going to launch the book here, hopefully right around Veterans Day, if possible. We'll see. And be looking for that in the very near future.
Yes, just quickly, I think
Yeah.
you mentioned it, but I'll double down on it, Doug.
Yeah.
The net proceeds go to solving veteran homelessness. So this isn't something where it's like a passive wealth income stream or something. No, it's a pass through. So cover the cost of the book. Everything else goes to veteran homelessness. Everything that comes from the book will go to veteran homelessness and solving that. So it's something that a number of us are serious about, and we're going to make it happen.
And as a person who's checked out the costs of nonprofits, I'm gonna say this in front of you, and this is live, so but we're probably not going to have a lot of expenses on this, right? It'll be down to the 0 point. There's not gonna be a board of directors making $100,000 a year in this thing, right?
Yeah, no, I think the board of directors is probably you, it's me, it's one other person, and I think we all have jobs. Yeah, so this is a complete pass through, and I'm a CFO consultant for the Fortune 100, and I can guarantee you that.
Okay, great. That's an important point because you were around when they had the big United Way scandal a few years ago in different places, and even the what was the big one? Wounded Warriors got busted for spending a lot of money on administrative costs and fundraising. I'm like, man,
it's something that sometimes scope creep can happen, and as you try and do the right thing, there are other folks that have their hand kind of in the till, and they're looking to try and generate some kind of wealth from themselves. That's exactly what this is not about.
Yeah. We're more like the Marine Corps Toys for Tots has like 102% rate because they take the funds and invest it while they're waiting to buy the toys. So it's like it's 102% pass through.
That's correct. You get everything and more. And as I like to say, you're welcome.
That's right. Hashtag you're welcome, Craig Henzel. All right. So I want to finish up with the juicy stories you've told me about when you're talking to these companies, you're working with the Fortune 100, which most of us are not. But we can learn a lot of lessons from you folks. And you mentioned some stories about going in, looking at operations, looking at like product development and going like boom, boom, boom. And you took like an 8-month thing and brought it down to a few weeks. And it was like an 8 or maybe a 9-figure benefit to the company. It's massive. Remember, and you've done it more than once, but give me one of those, your favorite story of what you've done with there.
Sure. So I've done a lot of work in consumer goods companies, retail companies, life science, healthcare, worked at General Electric, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, AstraZeneca. And I mentioned probably 45 different companies in the last 5.5 years. I think I just went over I got a little, hey, welcome to your 5.5 year anniversary. Yesterday, I think it was. So timely, but remember going in and taking a look at a new product development, end-to-end cycle time, and just looking at it from the aspect of how much time does it take from kind of ideation where you're coming up with the ideas and maybe there's 2,000 ideas and they funnel down into 850 into 273 down to 50 that you're going to launch that year. And the process itself took like 450 days. And that just seemed long to me. And I brought in a team and we took a close look at it and we mapped it out end to end. 5 stages: ideation, kind of design, development, commercialization, launch. Those aren't the exact 5, but you get the idea, kind of end to end. 450 days-ish, right? Plus or minus. And we realized after we took a look at it and we mapped the whole thing out that over 300 days were considered non-value added. The definition of which is the customer's not willing to pay for it. So the customer's not willing to pay for extra meetings or even kind of quality assurance type stuff or putting a formula up on stability or something like that. Those are important things. They're business value added. But if you ask the customer, I don't want to pay for extra reviews. I don't need to pay for extra meetings. I don't need to pay for scrap or waste or anything like that, or how long it takes you to change over your production lines. And so we started taking a look at how do we understand what the root causes are and ripping out days in the beginning. Well, we don't need that. We don't need that. Then we started taking out weeks, and then we took out months. And out of this, in a very short period of time, we had ripped out about 6 months. And why that was important was some of the key metrics, right? The KPIs, the key process indicators that the company was tracking was things like this, right? You want to know kind of how long does it take to hit peak? How long does it take to hit first year sales? How long does it take to hit peak year sales, right? How fast, what's the speed of profitability on this? And so as you start thinking, this company's coming out with 8, 10, 12 new products a month. So extremely short cycle business. What we were able to do was in the 9 figures over the course of like a 3-4 year period, the time that it took to get to peak year sales, we shrunk that 6 months minimum. And then we had a whole roadmap of items and a transformation plan that would get them to, you know, call it another six months. You know, that was going to take a little bit longer, but the low hanging fruit, the stuff that was on the ground fruit, we just picked up, put in a basket. We took care of all of that, was able to kind of ring the register on it, and tremendous benefit.
So
We've done that a number of times.
For people who aren't familiar with product development and the Fortune 100 whatnot, there's a cost associated with this time and personnel and tooling and everything, where you're designing a product, taking from 400 some days down to 6 months. What was the savings on that?
Well, you know, so there were a number of different franchises, a number of different product lines. And when you start to multiply it over all the franchises, over the 2 business units that were kind of governing this, you were in the hundreds of millions almost right out of the gate. And then you were in the billions of range at the end of a couple of years, and multiple billions. And then you start thinking about, okay, so this is kind of in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to almost boggle your mind, because then you're taking that curve, that model, and you're sending it all the way out into almost infinity. Mm-hmm. So how much were you saving? Well, in 6 months, it was hundreds of millions. And in a couple of years, it was several billion dollars. And then how about in the next 10 years? Because you're leveraging, when you've eliminated the root cause there, you're never having to go back to those same old kind of broken manual processes. So it's something that's still paying huge dividends even now.
Did they give you a percentage of savings there, Craig? How'd that work with you and your team? No?
You know what I got? I got a really kind of solid pat on the back, Craig. You know what? Heck of a job. We'd like to give you another 2 or 3 of these things, these kind of hairballs that no one's been able to solve before. You know, it looks like you've got a team that can solve these things. So yeah, we're not going to give you any of the easy ones. Anyone can do the easy ones. It's the kind of the teams that can lead from the front that'll go after and nail these things that are. This is the sweet fruit now. This isn't the low hanging or the stuff this is the stuff that's right up against the sun, that's getting all the sun, and these are high value targets. Yeah.
You know, you kind of look like George Papard from the A-Team, the original series. Now you got the tough mission series. Yeah, I like that. So for a small or medium business, they don't, you know, they're not looking at those kind of numbers, but they do create products, and there's obviously development time and thought time and product testing and whatnot. So are there any takeaways on like a simple thing for a small company could do when they're rolling out a new product or a course or a service?
100%. The principles hold true, and they scale up or down. Mm-hmm. So taking a look at something end to end is always a great idea, and objectively, right? So you're bringing different minds to it. And one of the chapters in the book, Leadership from the Front Lines, is around you can learn from anywhere. So you're bringing in the admin assistant, you're bringing in the junior analyst, you're bringing the folks that have been there 15, 20 years, you're bringing in the CEO, because they're all coming in with different mindsets. You go and map that thing out kind of end to end, and you start to look at it. And then everyone has a chance to weigh in, right? Everyone has a voice. That sounds kind of like in vogue now, but literally everyone has a chance to weigh in. And if you got to do it silently, you do it silently. But the idea is, because people are coming at it from different perspectives, someone's got to order the stuff in order to have the manufacturing team put it together. So the new product development teams are important, but the procurement folks are just as important. And the folks who are paying the bills on the back end and the payables team, that's important. The folks working with the customers on the front end and doing the order management and stuff like that, everyone has a kind of a part to play. It's harnessing the collective intelligence of the team that is going to be key. And it doesn't matter whether we use this when a few of us started a business that 20 months later we sold here to Genpact. We use the exact same principles. And that was 3 of us to begin with, grew to like 10, 12, 18 folks. But so it's a small kind of entrepreneurial all the way up to kind of a large company. The same things hold true.
Nice. Brilliant stuff, Craig. Very impressive. It's called Leadership to the Front Lines. Be available on Amazon this November. And any parting words, sir?
I look forward to hearing feedback from you guys on it. I'd love for you to read it. Love for you to tell me where you think you agree, where you think I'm off, where you think the next book's got to go to, because I think we're going to probably launch a couple of these things, maybe even in a series. Right. All of it's going to go to solving veteran homelessness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you've got ideas about other things that are on your mind, I'd love to hear about them. So I appreciate that, and thank everyone for their vote of confidence here and a download and a quick read and love to hear your feedback.
Let's make it happen. Leadership from the front lines. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it.
Yes, Doug.
All right. That's our show for today. Please go ahead and click below, subscribe, get the show notes from Craig's call today, and also get the book, Leadership from the Front Lines. Every book you purchase goes towards helping us end veteran homelessness. This is Doug Crow with the Author Branch.